All right, hello, welcome everyone. My name is Alisha Braché. I'm from Cosmic Gateway and I am here with Anna and Nat. This is our final segment, in conjunction with World Unity Week. This is our final segment of Ascension 101 Real Talk. And this segment we are talking about New Earth children and conscious parenting. So it's a very broad term topic. It's one that I'm incredibly passionate about. I only can have certain level of input and I have these two beautiful women here to give input on the conscious parenting aspect. For the New Earth Children section, just to let you know, it was scheduled originally on a few days ago and it didn't premiere, and there's sort of a divine orchestration which has occurred. And anyway, so for the New Earth Children segment, in 2 hours from now, there is a pre-record that Katie, Jane and I sat down and did, talking about New Earth children and hybrid kids. So I would encourage you to go and have a look at that. It is a very long, very in-depth, detailed video, and I hope that you enjoy it. At the end of that is a channeled information that I did whilst sort of in a higher state of consciousness, that gives beautiful information, and then it's finished with a guided process to be able to connect with your children, whether that be hybrid children, your spirit children, or you're already earth children born on this planet, to connect with their higher self. So I do encourage you to go and look at that, and I see that we've got some people joining us, so I'll let them in from the waiting room and join the discussion. But welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
So we've got some people coming in. We'll let them come in. So what comes to mind for you two when the term conscious parenting, like what comes into your mind?
Well, for me, straight away when you said that before, I was on the phone to Nat one day and she had a little boy screaming in the background. And conscious parenting, to me, that was just perfect, because Nat just like, oh, just ignore Jesse, he's just doing some toning. And that completely cheered me out. Like, how do you turn a child screaming into something, just, let him be, kind of accept it? Because I think a lot of children these days with the sensitivities, parents out there probably wouldn't be aware that they can't, maybe they just need to let it out. And hat off to you, Nat, because you parent like a boss.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think that's probably, you might be able to hear Jess in the background now. Yeah, I think when you have children, there's certain like you can try to shape them and guide them in life and be there for them as a parent, and there's certain aspects of them that you just need to let them go and do their thing. So yeah, I've really found with Jesse, if I really try to restrict him in certain areas, he will then blow up, and it's just, I just need to let him be present with what he's feeling, let him have it out, and then we'll come back together and pick up where we started. I don't know if you can hear them.
Some toning happening in the background. I love it.
Yeah, there's some toning going on. Sorry, guys.
Well, this is Ascension 101 Real Talk. So here's one Nat prepared for earlier.
As I was saying, this is a topic. Obviously, I have the page New Earth Children, which is started a couple of years ago and is been growing bit by bit as I have been called to move into that. And I, on a personal level, I feel that in the conclusion of World Unity Week will be the beginning of a new path for me. I don't know exactly how that looks, but I know that it's heavily involved in the children or the New Earth children space. And that's a calling that I've been trying to ignore for a few years, quite a few years, but I'd like to share just a brief overview of why this is so special to me. And I've always said just one thing with the ascension process that's happening on the planet. I truly believe that the key marker stone of the old world ending and the new world emerging is all about the children. And when I say that, what I mean is it's very prevalent, and it has been for over 12 months now, about Save the Children and highlighting, human trafficking and atrocities that have been done to children on the planet, and that coming to light, but healing, the healing component of the child, whether it's a child or an inner child. But the child is so innocent, it's so pure, it's so full of life force energy, and it's sacred, and it should be kept that way. And in the third dimensional world, it's very harsh as we come in from these other realms, and we're born into this planet, and because we chose to be here, of course. But I do see that the healing process of the child, however that looks on a global level, marks the beginning of the new world, where we can start to embrace these new children that are coming in. And they have been for quite some time, but as we move through this ascension phase, the children that are coming in are more and more highly evolved, probably each month, each year. And we've got these amazing little beings that are like ascended masters in human suits coming through, and it gives me so much joy and so much pleasure. And with that, we need to really look at parenting, at education systems, at all these things, all these broken systems that haven't worked, so that we can really nurture these children. And I think we're the ones that make that happen. We can't be reliant on the system. We have to band together in conscious community to find innovative new ways to be able to make that happen, which is a project that it will probably come after this. I won't talk more about that, but I also believe that us as the parents and the custodians and the caregivers, because it's not limited to parents. I think we're all parents in some way, and we all have responsibility. That age-old saying that it takes a village to raise a child. We're moving into these conscious communities where we're all responsible, and I think it's through the busting and the breaking of all the breaking down of the systems that don't work that we have been a part of, and it's through the perhaps challenging phases that we've been through, as children, and healing that, and growing up and seeing what doesn't work anymore to create the new. So that's sort of my blanket overview. But I also believe that some of these children that are coming through with these high frequencies are very much a catalyst for the awakening of the parents. So I would love to hear input from you guys as to perhaps, this is a very broad blanket term, but perhaps what was parenting like before and after awakening, and the contrast from your own personal experience.
I'll start, because I don't know about the other ladies that have just joined us, but my kids are teenagers now. So son is 19 and daughter is 16. And I, like Nat, when I'm on the phone to you and the way you parent, I'm like, man, I wish I knew this back then. So I guess you could say my biggest awakening really was in 2013. But prior to that, the kids, I raised them the way I was taught to raise them. Like, you do as you're told. Don't question your parents or anyone older than you, basically. And my son was very placid, so loving, so placid, so easy. And then I had my daughter, and like, she just bought me on everything. And I look back now, I'm thinking she wanted a certain spoon, she wanted a certain plate, she only wanted to wear leggings for, like, I think 4 years. She only would wear leggings even if it was in summer. And I wish I had known now just to let her be, because she knew what she felt was right for her. But me, in my head, parenting the way I was raised, like, you'll do as you're told, you will use this spoon. And I could have avoided so much headache, heartache, tears and tantrums if I had known that. Different now, because since I had my awakening, it was beautiful. Now they actually think I don't care, but it's not that I don't care. I have a much more, as Nick from Almond Alpha and I always say, have that hands-free approach to parenting, listening to them, even if it's hot, if they don't want to take their jumper off, maybe just leave them. I mean, is it really that harmful to listen to them and do what they feel is right for them? And it's not. And I think ultimately, if they're safe and healthy, then you can allow them to express themselves. If they want to use their hands to eat instead of using a knife and fork, then just let them. And I really wish I knew all this now. However, in saying that, I have a great relationship with my children. we survived it. But yeah, I watched my sister. How old's my nephew now? I think he's about 4. And I think she's doing a great job because she lets him be. And sometimes we think, well, Levi wants to stay up till 11 o'clock at night. But society teaches us that the kids have to be in bed by 7 and they have to be up at this certain time and they have to eat at this certain time. And I don't know about you, Nat, but even myself now, I will eat when I'm hungry and what I feel is right for me. So hands off to my sister who's actually listening to her child. And you too, you just like really cool bananas and Jesse's screaming and you're like, oh, he's just toning, it's fine. You're bringing the humor to it as well, which I didn't know how to do. I was very rigid. So that's my experience, that you share yours.
So my daughter is 9 and my son is 3.5. I'm going to try and do this without too much background noise, so I apologize. So I didn't really have begin my awakening until I guess a year and a half ago, like properly. And so my son, who's 3, he was born with a genetic condition and he's missing a part of a chromosome. And so he is actually wired differently. And it taught me so much about, I guess with my daughter, I was very structured like you, Anna. This is bedtime. I still do that, eat with your fork and knife and all that kind of stuff. But since having my son, he was just a whole different kettle of fish. Like he's got a food aversion, so he actually doesn't really eat food, lacks a lot of sleep. And I got to the point where I was trying to structure him so much and it was just failing, and everyone was tired, everyone was emotional. I was emotionally worn out, and it was literally like day and night. I woke up one day and I was like, I can't keep living like this. I cannot keep doing this on my own and fighting you on everything. And I literally had to surrender. I surrendered to him, and I surrendered to both of them, and I'm still here to guide them and be their mother. But at the same time, I think our children are our greatest lessons, and they hold so much beautiful pureness, like complete pureness. And opening up with my 9-year-old, lines of communication where she can express to me, talk about things that I guess maybe a lot of parents wouldn't talk about, spiritual things, dream space, all that kind of stuff. It's been a really beautiful transformation over the last even 6 months in itself.
Yeah, I actually saw a video of Nat's daughter telling about her dreams, and you have to share that with Alisha. She's like, well, what did she say? I would assume Grandpa knows. And she's talking about her dream. It's like, wow, I wish I did that too when their kids were younger.
Yeah, so she has, I don't put anything in her head. I know that me growing up, I had a crazy dream space, and still as an adult now. And I think if I had tapped into that when I was a child, how much more broader my consciousness would be now. I don't feel like I would have had to go through so much heavy lifting, I guess, to clear and understand perceptions better. And I sort of opened up the channels of communication with my daughter, and I get her the dream journal. And a few weeks ago, she's like, Mum, I had this dream. And so my grandfather, who's passed away, he was up in heaven, and he brought this blue man down. And this blue man come down, and I was scared of him, but he was actually really nice, and I was only scared because he had blue skin. And I was like, that's okay, you know, like, you know, try to have like a really cruisy conversation with her about it. We're not saying like, you know, blue people are going to invade the earth and, you know, anything like that, but just like to say like, that's okay to dream things like that and not shut it down and say, well, that's because you can't see it, therefore it's not real. So I think just being really open-minded and letting the children guide us.
Yeah, well said, Nat. I think that's 101. If we're going to go back to Ascension 101, I think, I mean, it's so broad and each child is so individual, and conscious parenting is going to mean, you know, several different things for several different people. It's not going to be that there is no mold, there is no guidebook, but there is, you know, that the guidebook is to be able to connect with your own inner wisdom and to be able to connect with the child and their own inner wisdom and allow that cohesion of like heart cohesion and soul to lead how the interactions go and how to sort of maneuver through parenthood, I believe. And I'm just saying this as a theory, you know. You know, I can give certain reference points, like right now I have, you know, a sick dog who's in surgery as we speak, and as one thing that came to me, you know, it's been really hard, it's been very challenging doing World Unity Week and trying to care for a sick dog who's trying to recover from surgery and then have to have another surgery, and it's a lot and it's stressful and you break down, and I had many breakdowns in the last, you know, 24 hours, and then pick myself up and, you know, put myself back together again. And the reason that I'm sharing this is that I had this epiphany last night. So, you know, just to give some context, you know, there's surgery, but there's a lot of other health complications on top of that. He's elderly, he also has diabetes, all these sort of things. So it's this balancing act. And I realized that I got so wound up in taking his reading and administering this medication and doing this and doing that, and that I forgot that I was like not doing the things that I know to do as a human being for myself, in tuning into him. How is he feeling? Looking at his overall well-being and health. Does he look good? Does he look sad? Does he look like he's in pain? But my focus was purely on administering and looking at all the very medical-based things, and I wasn't taking a holistic approach. And I made a vow to myself in that moment, because it was stressing me out. It was just, I was not working in where my strength is, which is in my intuition and in my caring nature. I was purely in that more left side analytical working out. So when I share that, I apply that in, I don't know if you ladies can like have any input to that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Nat would probably have more stories because of Jesse's condition, but 100%. And as you're actually talking, like certain people, certain things that I did, and I'm like, oh wow, we didn't tune in. Like, and especially as a mother, you know, we know if we can just feel into it rather than thinking or falling into that stress. Because when you're stressed, you forget to ground yourself and center yourself and start connecting and feeling with a situation. And a lot of the times when children or animals or anyone is sick, you can feel into it, you know. Oh God, this conversation just makes me want to rewind and change everything that I didn't do.
I've spent a lot of time with Jess at the Children's Hospital. He has a very large medical team, and I found myself last year, I was caught up in
real time, people.
Sorry, I'm going to try that again. I was caught up in I'm going to have to go 2 seconds. Sorry, guys.
Thanks, Nat. I just open up because we do have 2 other people on the line here with us. Bonnie and Nola, did you have any questions or any input or anything you want to share in this space, whether you want to come on and speak or type in? Oh, there we go.
I was just going to say that I'm
Unmute.
enjoying your talk.
Hello, I'm sorry I'm always off the line. I really appreciate this space. I've been following you through this whole whole events, and I really love that you've been leaving things recorded on Facebook. The people that you've been recording is so inspiring. You ladies are so beautiful. I've just been in the process of moving, and my Wi-Fi is not so good, so I keep dropping every now and then. But I really, really appreciate and have adored what you guys have talked about and been inspired and motivated. So I just want to say hello, and I'm not the creepy person just kind of coming in and listening as I'm moving around the house with my laptop like here and there. But it's been really beautiful, and I resonate with so much. You know, a lot of things are really great that you've been saying over the past week, so many people that you've interviewed. It's just been fantastic. So I just want to express extreme gratitude, and thank you for creating this space, and even, you know, now finding your Facebook page to be able to follow you, and the other, you know, all of the people that you've brought into this network is amazing. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. No, it's lovely.
Yeah.
Where are you based? Where are you from?
I'm in Thailand right now.
Oh.
You can see I've got lots of tropics right here.
We're not jealous.
The
at
beach
all.
is over behind me. Yeah, the time zone is really crazy. So I'm actually also grateful that you're in Australia, right? So you've been airing things that are actually during the day and not when I'm passing out in the middle of the night trying to watch something really interesting. And I've found myself, I keep drawing to your Cosmic Gateway. Just everybody you've had on there has been fantastic, and really, really great compilation of people and ideas and concepts, and yeah, really amazing. So thank you.
You know, it's beautiful to have you here. I really appreciate that.
Totally off topic, but
And it's good. This is
I
what
like to
segment's
popping
about.
into the meeting, so just wanted to say hello.
Yeah, no, honestly.
All right, I'm going to mute it back again and let you guys resume as I'm running around the house.
Yeah, no worries. Okay.
Thank
Great.
you. Thank you.
Paula. Lovely to meet you.
Sorry, guys, I'm back.
Oh, welcome back.
I just want to go to Bonnie because I think Bonnie, were you trying to talk before?
Oh, I was just saying I was doing fine, enjoying to listening to you ladies.
Oh, okay. Do you have any questions, or are you just happy to sit and listen?
No, I'm listening while I'm doing my homework of what I'm going to tomorrow.
Oh, okay, cool. And where are you from? Sorry, too many.
That's okay. I'm in Colorado.
Oh, okay. It must be late or early or some crazy time there, but thank you for being here with us.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Nat, did we want to go back to you? Yep.
Yeah, what was the question you'd asked?
I
Sorry.
can't remember. Oh,
Um,
following your intuition. You were talking about just
oh,
a large medical team, and you got to a point last year.
yeah, it was actually like my breaking point. It got so overwhelming. I was spending so much time at the children's hospital seeing sick kids day in, day out. And even if I'd go to an appointment and Jessie was like, you know, everything's fine. So grateful for that. It would just rip my heart out. I was getting so emotional just about sick kids in general. And yeah, Jesse was being I felt like he was being probbed and probed from every angle. And I got to a point, I was like, you know what? No more. I was like, I will do the main specialist appointment, like his eyes, his heart, neurology, and everything else can just take a break. If I feel that there's something going on, I will then follow that up. And with Jess, he gets like a lot of croup and stuff like that. So I looked into homeopathic remedies, and for me, I'm not giving medical advice in no way, but for me and Jesse, that has worked, been a godsend, because he was on steroids every other week because he was getting croup all the time. And yeah, I had to seek alternative ways to try to support him, which I'd never had to do that before for myself or even for Indy. So
I think that brings it to thank you for sharing that, Nat, because that's made me reflect on my own upbringing in childhood, because I was very sick as a child, And I can only speak based on like clients that I've seen, and starting to work more in the space. And I know this is a space that you're highly passionate about, Anna, and I think there's a lot of collaboration that will come through this. We're only kind of just scratching the surface. But I work with a lot of mothers, or expecting mothers, or mothers who want to conceive, and at all different stages. And that's sort of where I get my insight. And it's not uncommon that when I'm doing energy work, if I'm working with a mother who's got a young child who's going through some sort of challenge or difficulty to whatever capacity, it's probably one of the things I love the most about my work is that I will, while I'm working, doing an energy alignment session with the mother or the parent, I should say, if it's topical before we start the session, I will bring the child into the energy field and work on them both. And I think that's probably a gift, that's probably one of my strengths, I could honestly say, is that when this happens, the children have such strong telepathy that I can interface with them and talk to them. And I think what makes my heart explode about that is the stuff that these children tell me about their medical conditions, about their food sensitivities, about why they're so sensitive to light or sound or anything like that, in things that I couldn't even, like, I couldn't make up, you know. So I come out of it and go, whoa, and then they'll go and try it and it works. So when I come back to saying, you know, trusting your intuition and connecting with the higher self of the child, like that is, in my opinion, the most effective way to navigate, especially when you're dealing with something that you can't find answers for, or things aren't working, or the systems are failing, because these children truly aren't meant to be in these systems. And I think that I certainly was a child who had different abilities. I was different. I think most of us probably watching this can resonate to that to some degree. You know, as a child, I had a lot of health issues. I was put on a lot of medication that made me even more sick. And thankfully, my parents decided to seek alternative pathways. And I found Chinese medicine and, homeopathy and naturopaths and all that energy work, all worked really well, much better than the medical system did. And it's been a whole journey with me around that. But I think that one of the reasons why I get so fired up and passionate was that I never fit in the conventional mold, whether it be healthcare, whether it be education. I don't think that we're designed for that. So when we've got these new kids that are coming in now and moving further into New Earth, like, I think it is our responsibility to see where things aren't working, I can't think of a better word, but experiment with our own children or fur children or, nieces, nephews, to work with them to understand, so that we can start to develop and take the inspiration and downloads that we get to start to build foundations for new earth living that is supportive to future generations.
Yeah, I was you go, Anna.
No, you go, hon.
Oh, it's so polite. Thank you. No, I was thinking about this last night with what Katie Jane does, and how with sound lounges and sound therapy for children, for high functioning children, I can't wait to try. Jesse's a terrible sleeper, and I can't wait to take him to Katie and get him to start having sessions with her and actually like log, see if, I can't wait to see, I'm almost certain there's going to be a huge amount of growth in that area. So these new modalities, well, they're not, I guess, new, but I'm new to them, that are out there, I think is so exciting, because I've done everything Western medicine. I've spent a week at sleep school. I've done sleep training. I've done like everything you can think of to try and engage why Jesse doesn't sleep, and there's no answer. It's just a dead end. So I am so lucky that I feel so lucky that there is these other modalities out there because there's been times where I felt backed against the wall, like I can't survive like this. How am I going to get through, the next day, the next week, when we're both so tired and completely, there's nothing left in the tank. Everyone's emotional, everyone's tired, and yeah, so I'm super grateful for, you know, the up and coming children, because they're exposed to, I feel like there's so much more greater knowledge in the community with different modalities. And I'm excited. I'm excited to try.
I want to get on that bed myself.
I know, it's good. It's so good.
But I'm just going back to, I can't remember who said it now, about the children's sensitivities. So I think it was last week or the week before, I don't know, it's been a blur, but so I get this image about my nephew, because my kids are older. Alisha knows I go completely gaga over children. And it just so happens every time we go out for dinner, there's always a baby right next to us. So anyway, nieces and nephews and friends' children are the best place for me to play with at the moment. But a couple of weeks ago, I had this vision come in, and it was my nephew. And basically he was telling me that things were yucky, and it was like that he was projecting how he was feeling towards me, so I could feel it. So anyway, I thought it was only fleeting, but I messaged my sister and I said, how's Levi going? And she said, oh, he's actually taking the day off daycare today. And I've always wanted to know whether she knew that he was very dense and yucky out there, and that Levi's very sensitive to the energies, and so you keep them home. Like, I mean, I keep my daughter home from school when she's feeling it. But just to other parents out there that are watching this too, you know, like, does anyone else do that? Like, stuff the system. If your child is feeling sensitive, keep them home, because I mean, you know, we're adults and we still struggle with that sometimes. But, you know, as children that can't actually say to their parents, it's too much out there, I need to be home.
Yeah, I found that last year, towards the end of last year with Indy, she didn't want to go to school. It was so dense. It was scary. The kids, I think the teachers didn't know, you know, I guess on a broader spectrum of what's happening in the world. Everything was changing, and she feels so much. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm not going to send her. And I don't care if she was just in 2 weeks lockdown and back at school for a week. I was like, no, I'm listening to what she wants. It was way more stressful for her to be going to school than to be staying home. And also I've started to, you know, like the Schumann resonance and stuff like that, I'm paying a lot more attention to that, because I know I feel energy shifts and stuff like that when the Schumann's going off. And I think, well, if I do, of course my kids are. And so just paying more attention to energetically what's going on, so I can be more like onto it with the kids. You know, I'm not feeling well today, mum, or, you know, I've got a really bad headache. It just, you know, I've drank heaps of water, you know, why have I still got a headache? Or, you know, they're a bit more emotional, like today I'm thinking it's the full moon.
I forgot it's full moon tonight.
Yeah, they've been wild. Yeah, so like having, you know, when you don't have answers for anything else, but you can look at a bigger perspective of actually what's going on globally, it gives me peace of mind, because I think, you know, I could go to spend every second day at the doctor's with the way my 2 kids are, like, there's stuff going on every day. So yeah, when you just like chill out a bit and like, okay, let's look at things from a different perspective, and, you know, have a look what's going on the Schumann, or, you know, the moon, what's the moon doing? Like, yeah. And I've started talking to my sister about this, because her kids are quite sensitive too. They're younger than mine, and we spin out, we're like, wow, the same days they will behave like in very similar patterns. And I think it definitely affects the kids just as much, or if not more, than what it does us.
So I think it's even more important, Alisha, that, you know, you put out your content about New Earth children and start spreading the word and the symptoms and how to do it, how to manage a child that's sensitive. Like, I can't wait for you to...
literally thinking that, yeah. I think, because from what I've observed, I think children and animals are more sensitive than adults are. You know, and but the good thing is that they're highly sensitive, much more sensitive than we are as adults, or the average adult, let's say. I guess they are in a more pure form of what it takes us to work at it for years, to peel back those layers of barriers that we put up and traumas and things like that. And then as we go through our ascension process, we can't become more refined and more energetically sensitive, which is more of our original essence, where children don't have that and animals don't have that, which makes, you know, to me, that's why they would be more sensitive. But on the flip side of being more sensitive, of course, there's the harsh energies that would, you know, is harder to manage. But on the flip side of that, when you're working in healing modalities and energy, they absorb it at 3 times the speed than, you know, because of their sensitivity, they have a much faster healing capacity rate, which I really needed to say that out aloud for myself right now, just in my current circumstances. Because they don't tend to have, I want to say they don't have an ego. That's not the case. It's they don't have those barriers that we do as complex humans who've been living in this world much longer. But I think that's probably something to really look at, because what came to mind for me when you were talking was, I know that Zara from Guidance by Zara, I know she's closed her page for now, but dear soul sister Zara, she's got a young son who he's born we joke he's born on my birthday, little Pisces boy. He's actually a day before mine, but because of the time zone difference, she's on the other side of the world, we do share a birthday together. And she has absolutely noticed his sensitivity while she's been tracking space weather and Schumann resonance and the shifts and changes in astrological alignments. And she then started just to observe in her community, when he would go to childcare or kindergarten or school, all the other children on, say, a full moon or when the Schumann is spiking. And there was very specific data of correlation of a vast majority of children either having stomach aches or headaches or feeling off or throwing tantrums, or, you know, all these different things. So I think it's really something that we should look into exploring and sort of reporting on, because I think it would be really helpful for parents, like very helpful for parents. And I can only relate that back to my own personal experience growing up, that I was that super sensitive child that was misunderstood. And I can think so many times that I just felt really off. And I was I love my parents, I love my family, and I chose very well, but my sensitivity was very misunderstood. And so there was a lot of comments of like, oh, just sort of get on with it, oh, harden up, or you're too sensitive, you're too soft, you're too emotional, these types of things, that then you shut down those things. And I remember so many episodes as a child of it was just emotional overwhelm or energetic overwhelm, really. And I would get really emotional. And it got to the point where people would say to me, what's wrong? I didn't know what was wrong.
Feeling it.
It's been a lifetime to work out, to understand why I'm feeling a certain way when it doesn't have a context. And it's funny, I have condition in my foot, which is a whole other story I won't go into, but I used to then try and find a tangible reason to justify why I was crying as a child. And so I would say, I don't feel well, I hurt my foot. I don't feel well, my tummy hurts. And I would actually make up stories to justify why I wasn't feeling well, because I couldn't articulate it, because I didn't understand it. But I just needed to have a big cry or whatever it was, you know. So I think and this is no disrespect to my parents. My parents are amazing people and they did an amazing job. But how could they possibly understand when they don't, you know, I didn't know, they don't have that level of consciousness, or they've got no context around that, you know. But I think as a responsibility as a parent or as a community, when we do start to have that information, is to observe it, to understand it, to educate, not impose, but to be curious and see the broader perspective, see what's happening, and then to be able to help people to maybe present to them a possibility that could be an influential factor beyond, you know, the usual, I guess.
Yeah.
That's interesting what you were saying about, you know, making up a story and making it about a physical, I hurt my foot and I got a sore tummy, because I guess, you know, parents will still be doing this now, but they'd be like, what does it feel like though on an emotional level? Like you needed to cry. What did you need to cry about? And it's funny because I'm sure as young children, they would always, like, you know, maybe attach it to a physical pain. However, what I've actually noticed, and, you know, no offense to the young adults these days, because they've been brought up so differently to us and they've got so much information overload, but young adults are very in tune with their feelings. It actually, what I've noticed, and I don't know how else to say this, I'm just going to say it, it does actually make them seem self-absorbed because they're so in tune with emotions, and it's so okay for them. Whereas with us, you know, we either had to hide it or we didn't understand it, so we didn't talk about it. But yeah, young adults, and I've just realized that now as you were talking, Alisha, I'm like, wow, they can say it. I mean, you know, there's so many things to be offended now. Like, you can say you're angry, you're upset, you're hurt, you're offended is a very common one. But regardless, they're so in tune with how they feel now, they can say it. But they're kind of walking around with this banner all the time saying, I'm this emotionally. But isn't that amazing? I guess until it starts to taper down again. And but yeah.
It's
funny. I was just thinking too, when you were saying about, like, as a child we'd like name a part because we didn't know what we were feeling. I actually only did it last week. I woke up, I was bawling my eyes out and I didn't know why. I was like hysterical. I think I might have called you, Anna. And then it wasn't till that afternoon. So throughout the day, I put it down to Jessie was away for the weekend, and I was like, oh, it was just, you know, I was just feeling my emotion because Jess had gone, and sometimes the medical world gets, you know, a bit dense and I'll have a big cry. But it wasn't that. It might have, you know, a concept might have been about that, but I think I just needed a good old cry just because I was just feeling like I needed a cry. But it's funny, as an adult, I still do that. I will try to label it to something that it may not necessarily be.
How good is it when you can just cry and not care about why?
I know.
Like,
I'm just crying. I'm in my feels. Let me be in them. That's me.
Yeah, I think for me, when everything changed was when I started to study holistic counseling in my early 20s, and that then gave me structure and context around emotional well-being, mental well-being, you know, and it was a whole journey of, you know, rewiring it and supporting myself in a different way. And, you know, I think that if we can start to look at ways that we can implement into our community and society for children these modalities, because really it comes back down to Anna and I in a past life in this incarnation, we used to work together in the sort of semi-corporate world of training and teaching and mental health, and in my role I was in the classroom facilitating with anywhere up to sort of 22 adults with all different types of mental health conditions. I say that in inverted commas, very, very sensitive, energetically sensitive souls, very misunderstood and misdiagnosed, in my personal opinion. And, you know, that job really got to me. I think I mentioned it on one of the other raw talks, like I went through a nervous breakdown, or what would be perceived in the 3D as a nervous breakdown during that career. And it really, I always try to go and look at the solution focused, and I realized that I was in a room and I was absorbing, because I am energetically sensitive, you know, anywhere up to 20 adults who have had very traumatizing lives and have been in the medical system and all these sorts of things, and having all these diagnoses. And this, in my opinion, this compiling, not getting to the core or healing, but band-aid affecting repeatedly over and over and over. And the frustrations that come with that in that role, as well, as Anna can attest to, you know, it was very high stress, very challenging job that we did. And it was like, I just kept coming back to what is the prevention, you know, and the only thing that kept coming back is you have to work with children, because you're in a room of, is a lot of hard work. Not that there wasn't magic that wasn't, happened in those rooms with those people. The stuff I could tell you for days was amazing, but it was like, it is a lot of hard work as an adult to go through the healing process. If we can if we can start with the children and raise them in a certain way that is going to support them, love them, nurture them, get them into the best version of themselves, and connect with their gifts and their talents, and not to shelter them from hardship, because I think hardship, in challenges you learn, but in a totally different way, then we're raising a whole generation of children that don't have to go through unnecessary unraveling of trauma.
Yeah.
And that's what I just sort of kept coming back to over and over again, was the solution for me personally is to, when the time is right, be working with these new children, because I get them and understand them, because I truly believe that I'm one of them. And I'm still very childlike at heart, and I remember some of those things, and I think about how I would have liked to been raised, now knowing what all the things I know. So you kind of put all that and channel that into better systems.
Yeah, I had a beautiful conversation with Jo from Awakening into the Light, and she had really pointed something out of me with Jesse when he has something big going on, like with his latest cardiology appointment. He needs open heart surgery. She feels that she knows when I'm off, and instead of being open with her in trying to protect her from being exposed to the rawness of Jesse's condition, I would hide it, and I'd wait till the kids go to bed and then go in the shower and cry. And Jo said, how about if you tried being open with her? She knows what's going on anyway, and instead of trying to protect her by not telling her anything, be open with her about it and involve her in his process so she can feel those feelings of what you're feeling instead of suppressing them. And I was like, wow. I'm like, yeah, that's such a beautiful way to look at it, because if she can feel those feelings with me together, she's not going to start suppressing them as a young child, and then as an adult get to the point where she's got all this rage and anger from not being able to feel the rawness of it. And I think that was such a beautiful light bulb moment for me. I was like, thank you, Jo. I'd never even, questioned that, because I tried to just protect her so much, but just let go and just let her feel was, yeah. So I'm starting to do that now with her, and like, it's okay. You can have a cry too. Like, this is your brother. You are feeling it too.
Another thing I wish I'd known back then, that it was actually only a couple of weeks ago, and my kids and I had a bit of a meltdown, very 3D stuff, housework, and my kids were basically just saying, why don't you ever tell us what's going on with you? And I thought, you get good at it, and then sometimes like you just soldier on, you carry on, and you forget to communicate where you're at. So that was a check-in moment for me. But just FYI as well, I don't know what it is, but so myself and someone else I know, last night there were children, either in your dream space or in your visions. Last night, children everywhere coming out.
Yeah. I was talking to some people last night in and amongst my breakdowns, and apparently a lot of dreams about children, spaceships, children, pregnant women. So it's been ramping up a lot in dream space. I think it was only, I don't know, sometime in the last month, I had very vivid dream space where I was communicating with hybrid. I think I posted on Cosmic Gateway that I was communicating with hybrid children because they were planning to come to Earth, and I was like kind of devising a plan to help that integration process. So there's definitely things in the pipeline that is going to come through on all different levels, I believe. And to get more understanding and context, if you don't understand what hybrid children is in the context I'm sharing about, and New Earth children, I do recommend you go and watch the segment that will be aired in a couple of hours, which was a pre-record. where we go into much more depth about hybrid children. Katie Jane shares really beautifully and openly about her personal experience. And I also share about my personal experience and journey in a very raw and open and vulnerable way that I haven't before. So that was kind of, that's been a massive process for me, to be able to kind of put that information out there. But I know that it's necessary because it's time, because so many more people are contacting me, so many more people are having these dreams and these various experiences, and it's becoming a lot more widely known and accepted. So yeah.
Hats off to you for sharing and being so vulnerable too, Alisha. I know I only had this conversation last night. Like, I'm still so much in my spiritual closet, and being vulnerable about really what I'm doing and who I am. That vulnerability, to open up and to share that on such a deep level, that's awesome. So I say thank you, because I know you're helping not only myself and my own journey, but so many other people who are misunderstood. Proud of you. Oh, I'm giving you a hug.
Cosmic hug, everyone.
Yeah.
I was pep talking myself before doing this live out. I'm like, Alisha, you're not going to lose it on camera. You're not going to crack. But just like I'm trying to hold off, a couple more hours to go for World Unity Week, and I need a bit of space to just have a cry, and I don't really know why. It's just a lot. Yeah.
Is it your tummy?
That is part of it. Yeah.
Oh.
I do want to acknowledge, like, Lynn has come in and joined us. Lynn, did you have any questions or anything to share on this topic, or are you just joining us and having a listen in? Just open that up if you.
Listening in while I'm doing my.
Yeah, I'm just hanging out.
Oh, okay, cool. You're very welcome to hang out.
Because you guys are the only ones, I think, who are meeting at this time. For me.
Oh,
But
okay.
like, where are you guys at? Like, it's nighttime for me. Must be morning for wherever you're at?
No, it is almost 5 p.m. in Melbourne, Australia.
Oh, okay.
Whereabouts are you?
I'm in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. I'm in Hawaii.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
And I've been trying to get onto that Facebook presentation on your Gateway Facebook. So I finally managed to get onto that Katie's one.
Katie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The vibro sound one. Is that the one you're talking about?
Right. So it's going to be on there, right, on Facebook, so I can watch it later.
Yeah, everything
Awesome.
on the Facebook page, all, like, every segment is still there. If you just scroll through, they're all there, all the videos. So and they'll all go up to YouTube starting probably this weekend or next
Awesome.
week.
Yeah.
So if you go to Cosmic Gateway, Alisha Braché, that's going to be easier for some people just to navigate YouTube rather than Facebook and all these other platforms. So
I know it was so daunting, but I like what you were discussing about, how we got to start with the children. And yeah, absolutely. There's just so much trauma out there at such young ages, unintended, a lot too. So yeah.
Have you always lived in Hawaii?
Yes, yeah. Born and raised here. Went to school for a bit on the mainland, but to know that I appreciate Hawaii. I appreciate home. And with so much turmoil going on in our country, I look at Hawaii, and we've, the aloha spirit is so alive and well here. And we embrace all cultures, although, part of what is happening on the mainland is beginning to trickle here, and people are becoming more territorial, I guess. Like they move to Hawaii from wherever they're at, and they're bringing whatever baggage with them here and trying to change our thoughts and perspective to how. So it's kind of like the problem is following them, you know what I mean? And it's beginning to manifest. And that's why, you know, we're born and raised here. You know, we've always, you know, it's not that we've been without problems, but we just learned to embrace one another and appreciate each other.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm so glad that you're here and joining us. And as soon as you said where you're from, it just lit my heart alive, because that's one of the places that I do plan to get to one at some stage when things change. Hawaii has a
Sure.
special connection. Have you delved into the connection to Lemuria?
I haven't delved into it, although I'm aware of it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm intrigued by it too.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Lemuria is a big connection point for me, and also with the New Earth Children work. And you know, I believe that Hawaii is part of where Lemuria landmass was. So when you said that sort of connection for me, that also made me smile. So
Right,
happy.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
There's no coincidences how we all come
Absolutely.
together. Oh, wonderful. Well, I guess we're coming up to the end of this segment, and in all honesty, I mean, I would like to talk about this topic for a very long time, and you know, this has been almost sparking something within me. So I think that maybe we will do. I think what's coming to mind for me is, you know, opening up Zoom calls and running that more regularly, and inviting people to come on and have some interactive space where we can have these discussions and connections and talk about the children and gather data, and you know, look at building new ways forward. But final thoughts, Anna and Nat, before we close this segment of conscious parenting and New Earth Children.
Just really quickly, just to other parents out there, tune into your intuition and listen to your children. That's it. What's that?
They'll be your greatest teachers.
Yeah. Oh my God, I really wish I did that. And anyway, never mind. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I will second that. Tune in, follow your intuition, and I'm just excited to see, Alisha, I know you're going to be doing great things, and Anna, both of you with children. And for me, and I feel for any other parent who is struggling, whether your child has a condition, sensitive, whatever it may be, that aloneness you feel at 2 a.m. in the morning when your child won't settle and you've exhausted every other avenue, to have some sort of different support modality. I know for me, I'm so excited about what you guys are going to be doing, because it gives me hope. It gives me hope to keep going when I feel like giving up. So I just endless amounts of gratitude for you guys. And I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Nat. Thank you, Bonnie, Lynn, Lola, who's left now. Thank you everyone for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you for everyone who's watching and on the replay, and I look forward to continuing some sort of segment like this ongoing. So connect with obviously Cosmic Gateway and New Earth Children. I have a YouTube channel and all social media across all the platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So New Earth Children is the name of that, and that will be the space that probably will be developing some of these programs. So thank you everyone once again, and just sending huge amounts of love to you all, and beautiful blessings as we're almost in the final stages of World Unity Week. So we did it, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Alisha.
Guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.